Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV. It's the Uncensored match build-up. I'm Steve Hoare. I mean, it's meant to be Errol, unless Errol's changed a fair bit. No, this is Ste Plunkett. Obviously, the three of us are meant to be here on the Umbu show. Errol's stuck in a bit of traffic, the match traffic on his way here to the studio. But yeah, me and Steve will guide you through until the main man himself gets in. Steve, welcome back. It's been a long time since we had you on the match content. Are you looking forward to a slightly different game, but an important one nonetheless?
Firstly, good to be back, and secondly, I can't get enough of them at the moment, mate, so I don't really care who plays today. That feel-good feeling is back. Playing front foot football, really excited to see some of the lads who haven't had minutes, in theory, get minutes this evening. I'm looking forward to it, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, we don't know the team yet. We've gone early because sometimes Liverpool put it out at 6:30. Steve's going to make his way over to the board shortly. I think Errol might have just arrived as well. So in the meantime, while we get set up here, a little bit of injury news for the Reds, yeah. Obviously, Jurgen Klopp didn't do a press conference because he literally can't be arsed with the League Cup, it feels. So he sent Pep Linders out to the media yesterday. Here's what Liverpool's assistant manager had to say about the game today.
Just wants to see how Trent is getting on, Pep, and Thiago, where is his recovery?
Yeah, we miss Thiago, no? His quality. Alexis shows a lot, no? Like similar kind of control the middle, makes the ball arrive in the right spaces to the right players. But we want him back, no? He's this guy who gives, what I said, all the responsible. So we want him back in training. He's still not back in training. But he's healing, and he's on individual on the pitch doing football exercise already, like simple but effective. And so time will tell how that goes. And Trent, he trained yesterday with us, did the rondos and a ball possession with counter pressing, and he looked outstanding. So, but tomorrow comes too early for him.
Look at that! Oh, Errol is back. Hello, mate.
Hello.
By the way, we haven't kicked Steve off, by the way. Steve's over at the board. Steve's got the important job of doing the tactics over there. Someone in the comments wrote, yeah, just don't kick Steve off. I'd never kick Steve off the show. Steve's got the most important job. He gets the bit over there. Steve, I'm going to come to you, if you don't mind, my mate. Obviously, behind you, we've got a little bit of a guess at what the team might be. It's a much changed Liverpool side, but it's a very strong one still. How far away from that do you think the team might be? What's behind you there?
I said to you before we came on air, and I said in the introduction to the show completely, that I felt this was a team of lads who needed minutes. My only possible qualm with all of that would be Konate. I think Konate would probably be better suited playing or not playing, so he's got a bit more training, a bit more fitness in him for the midweek game, for the midweekend game against Spurs. This is a midweek game against Leicester. You could put Joel Matip in there, but then, as I got told by the masses in Twitter yesterday, has Joel Matip got 3 games in a row in him? That's the big question.
Yeah, I suppose. I was funny because I was looking today, and obviously Liverpool Leicester League Cup was actually a couple of years ago, we had a really great time.
I forgot to comment to say that was probably one of our better streams. It was sick.
I really enjoyed that one, and this is what the League Cup can throw up. What's interesting is that look at the team Liverpool put out in that game to the team they could put out today. That team, with all due respect, there was a bit of COVID stuff, and I get it. And there was a couple of, like Billy Cometio started that game, a couple of young lads, I think Tam Mutton, and in the end, yeah, had to
half time. Yeah, it was like you went really young at half time, didn't you?
You had to ring the changes and get them all on. It feels like the team that plays today could be a lot stronger in depth, which probably just shows Liverpool's squad's in a better place, even than that team that got to 3 finals and within 20 minutes to win the league. Yeah. It feels like, given what Steve's just shown behind there and the arguments Liverpool have got, we feel like we're in a decent place with the squad.
Absolutely. And do you know what? I'm glad that you look at that team there, and everyone, as Steve mentioned before, needs minutes. But also these lads will be fighting for their places as well. And this is a great opportunity for them to really showcase what they can do. There's a player on there that I would have probably liked to see, but I can understand why he's not. He looks like he's on the bench, Luis Diaz. I think a game like this, really, to just kind of let him off the leash and just say, you know what Salah does when Salah brings you those moments and the impact he has. I kind of want to see Luis Diaz have that kind of hallmark moment for us. Or I know Jota did it, and Jota was the hero in the semi-final against Leicester. But yeah, maybe he might have to come off the bench and work some magic that way. It could happen. But yeah, I'm quite happy with that team, to be honest, mate.
I think one thing's for sure, these lads will have their hands full tonight because Leicester are flying in the Championship and they want to prove that they're worthy of Premier League status, and the best way to do that is to go up against one of the high flyers. I think the really interesting thing for me are the two fullbacks that we think are going to be selected tonight. Tsimikas has just signed a new long-term deal and gets a game as a reward, so want to see plenty from him. This is the interesting one, Basetic, where does he play? I don't think this inverted thing's going away ever, irrespective of the teams that we play with. You saw at the weekend,
Gomez do it.
Joe Gomez was here at the weekend in really advanced positions, playing slide rules. So I think what we'll see is, we'll see Stefan step in. I think we'll see Gravenberch push forward a little bit. Harvey will try and join up with Doak in the same way that he does with Salah, and Basetic will join in that midfield role. Really rusty in his last game. I mean, really rusty. But he's at home in front of the fans. They'll lift him. Need to see a great performance from him. I genuinely believe, Steve, I don't know what you think, that is a genuine option for me if he's not playing regularly, to fill in for Trent, because he started life as a central defender.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, he looked more comfortable doing the midfieldy bits the other day than he did having to be at right back. He needs minutes, but Endo needs minutes, and this is kind of the point with the League Cup as well, to a certain extent, Errol, is that and it can give these lads regular game time as the Europa League. I was saying, we all wish we were in the Champions League, but the good thing about the Europa League and sometimes the League Cup is the lads who need minutes will get them, because of one time the match needs to be thrown into a league game, and at least they've got under the belt. And we've got a comment here, from JW, who says, if we can get the second string going, then we're in real business long term, and that these type of games provide you the opportunity to do that. I think it's quite important that Liverpool do well in the domestic cups this year, at least these midweek ones where these lads can get more game time as well.
Absolutely, and as you said, they're twofold. They're gonna need the minutes, but it's on them to secure themselves the next 90 minutes as well. Then, so it's not a gift. You know what I mean? You've got to beat a very decent, as Steve's already mentioned, you've got to beat a decent Leicester side that you said the flying eye. I haven't paid any attention to the Championship. Haven't lost
one all but one of their games.
They're a team that I've got a lot of confidence. They've got their own momentum going for them. They'll feel that they are a force in their own right at the moment as well. So it's our job and the lads' job there today to essentially put them to the sword and say, no, whether it's the Liverpool first team or us, you're still not on our level. And effectively, they want to secure themselves another 90 minutes of footy. Yeah, the Europa League's going to afford them however many games, another 4 or 5 games that they'll be able to go off and play before obviously it comes knockouts and it starts to get a little bit more serious. Jürgen might want to start adding in some more of the senior players, but ultimately for the time being, I know Kelleher's pretty much a shoe-in anyway for most of the cup competitions, but the other lads on the fringes, the Doak's exciting. A lot of people have hyped him up so far. Early doors, he had a good pre-season. This will be really good for him to cut his teeth against a strong side that really aren't going to do us any favours. They're going to come to Anfield. They've done it in the Prem years gone by, come to Anfield and got some joy out of us, so definitely. And I was just, the little movement that you did with Basetic on the board there, mate, I'm quite comfortable with that, to be honest with you, because that's where I imagine he's going to be a part of that double pivot anyway, in the way it's been so fluid so far this season. You pop up either on the left side of it or the right side of it, it doesn't really matter. Obviously it's just how you then tuck back in when you've got to cover on the right hand side of things from a defensive point.
He's got his own personal little battle with himself, because he would see himself as that position there more often than not.
They're not yet.
And the likelihood is Endo will start there, so he's going to think to himself, how do I upstage this fella? Because that's what you've got to do. You were right. These are playing for opportunities in the future. So it's a big night for Basetic tonight. Abductor injury aside, he was flying in the first team last season under difficult circumstances. So yeah, they're coming tonight. They'll bring their full team. I think they'll be full strength for Leicester tonight. The best way to cement being top of the Championship is to turn up with your full strength side and give the Premier League game a run for the Premier League team. A run for their money. I think Leicester come tonight with one eye on the team, with a view to getting a result. That will test these boys. It will test our midfield, because this is a new combination we've not seen before. This not been seen in a red shirt at Anfield before. Big games for all of them. Harvey's got extra responsibility in looking after this fella as well, because we have all got massive hopes for Ben Doak.
These Blues next door are a bit like...
Are they doing something good? Are they winning or some shit?
Not even
Because they need to pipe down.
Yeah, these Evertonians won a game at the weekend all of a sudden. You can't shut them up. I forgot they were here for a long time. Sorry, Steve, you've interrupted you there.
He needs talking to throughout the game.
Yeah.
He's got all the raw ability in the world. Ben Doak is an absolute something to behold going forward. Right now, he needs to be spoken to, he needs to be talked to, he needs to be managed through the game. So Harvey Elliott's got a big role tonight in terms of staying in touch with him.
And defensively behind him, because on that right-hand side, mad as this shout's going to seem, he's the senior one.
Yeah.
when you deep hit that right hand side there,
Doak,
he is the more senior of the three of them, so he's going to have to do talking going forward and then relaying messages going 100%. Backwards as well. So that's going to be really important. And just on the Leicester game, we've seen the clips. I've seen you retweet the clips from the last game that we played with them, which was fantastic for us. But that'll still be in their memory.
Liam Bento just brought it up. Look at that.
Go on.
He says, hoping for a repeat of Steve's type moan rant last time we played Leicester. Yeah, I got a bit excited when Jota scored that penalty. You all right? Listen.
Rightfully so. It was boss.
I enjoyed that game.
And so did you see a celebration?
Yeah. I kind of forgot how the old studio. We had the grass. It was a bit different.
And there was the telly behind.
I do prefer this one as well. But yeah, a couple of comments there actually, because a few people are asking about the bench and maybe there'll be a few kids on it. It's worth noting Liverpool have actually got it under 20. I thought it was under 21s or under 23 games tonight in the Premier League International Cup. So we believe Liverpool got a strong bench as well, if indeed it is a changed team. We had a comment here. Let's have a little look who we've got. Yeah, Josh Owen. Surely Bobby Clark will be on the bench. I can't see Szoboszlai being anywhere near this. He's too important. Meanwhile, Stevie Ray said, I'd like to see Szoboszlai and Salah at home in their slippers. I've just watched on LFC TV in the background. Szoboszlai did arrive. It showed a few of the players arriving. Gakpo, Elliott, Bajcetic, Gravenberch and Szoboszlai were seen arriving. So I think even if they're not in the team, I think Liverpool have got a strong bench because the kids are playing their own game, and I think Jürgen's going to let them play their under 23. So worth mentioning that. We'll find out very, very shortly. I'm guessing now, maybe at quarter, what the official team news is. It's worth mentioning, yes, someone says here, Tanya Butty, I think Storm Agnes is a sub tonight. Now, we're lucky here because obviously it's illegal to show the games in the UK. So that's why Errol was late. He had to catch a flight over to here. We've flew all the way to Texas at great expense. It's cost us an absolute fortune to get here, bringing Steve along as well for the ride. I hope you've enjoyed it. So that's why, you can't watch it. But apparently back in Liverpool, Storm Agnes is causing chaos. There is apparently, according to some of our sources back in Liverpool, rain and wind aplenty. We even brought the Toffee lads over for a trip as well. That's what that noise was before. Don't
deserve it, but they're here anyway.
I think they just needed a break away from watching Everton. But it is idle, I suppose, going back to the thing with the bench. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a strong bench because I think Jürgen wants to go through. Usually, he can't be arsed with the Carabao Cup. It does his head in and he's not bothered about it. I do believe, given what he wants Liverpool to do down the line, he wouldn't be against a regular midweek team. So these lads who are in this team and maybe go forward, they play every Thursday or in this competition every Wednesday, and then he has to do the game for a Saturday. I don't know if you agree. I think Jürgen would quite prefer that because the last thing he'd want would be, touch wood, but like say another Alexander Arnold injury, and all of a sudden Bajcetic just hasn't played any footy, he's got to play. Yeah. Or like Quansah, or like he did against Wolves, he did well, but by the end of it he was absolutely knackered because he hasn't played for ages. Yeah. If these lads can keep ticking over in this competition, therefore having a strong bench, it helps you get through it. And it makes sense.
Absolutely, and it's the incentive from their perspective that they have a good game. You've got another game a week later, knowing that you're going to have a game almost guaranteed every single week. And I know the Europa affords us that, but with these added into the mix as well, and then hopefully obviously the early rounds of the FA Cup coming through in the new year, these lads will be thinking, well, yeah, if I keep myself fit, I'm not on the fringes. And I think that was one of the, for me personally, one of the highlights of the year that we went on to do the double was how well used the whole squad was, because you see what it meant for Tsimikas, and I know that was obviously the FA Cup that he goes on to score the winning penalty, but that was pretty much, and again, Minamino, top scorer in pretty much both the cups, but those were the moments for them, and they got to feel a part of building something and creating the history.
And then all of a sudden we needed Minamino in the league game. Southampton away, he had to play, and he'd been playing regular footy. I do think it's important. Plus as well, I like doing these midweek watch-alongs, it's quite fun for me. So if Jürgen can box us off a few times, it would be nice. Steve, going back to it, looking at that strike, if it is that, again, we're guessing, we don't know it's that yet. I think Cody Gakpo is probably the one who could do with a goal. Yeah. I know he did score very, very recently, of course he got that, but of the five of them, I guess he's the one who's probably the one searching for their form. Was that fair to say?
Yeah, we've changed the way we play a little bit shape-wise. We play a lot more on the front foot now, so as the game progresses, all three of these guys get closer to the front line, so the ability for what Gakpo was doing last season, which is drop off into there, has been shut down a little bit. Plus the fact he played the opening two games on the left-hand side of the centre midfield three, which really isn't his job. He was asked to do something different. I think some of the sort of criticisms of him have been a little bit unfair. He's still that player. Tonight, his ability to come short and win the ball and keep other players in. I think his remit tonight is to drop in a little bit and get these two fellas involved with setting balls back in and looking for runs from Jota and Doak. We all know Doak's a willing runner anyway. You know, he's flat out really quick guy. I just think Gakpo's been a little bit of a victim of the fact that we're now playing with a deep liar rather than a 6. Let's not call it that for those purposes. And whether it's McAllister and Szoboszlai or these two, their job is to be slightly more advanced with Stefan stepping in here. All them shift across. You've got a little bit of stability. But I actually think some of the lads are playing in the space that Gakpo wants to play in, and he's been a little bit of a victim of that, to be fair.
With that being said, I've got a comment here from Charlie who says, I prefer Jota centre and Gakpo on the left. Is that a way to negate what you're saying there? If there isn't much space in the middle for him to go deep, can you just flip him over? How would that look, do you think?
If you flip them over, what you've got then, you've got Jota, who's more of a sort of off-the-shoulder direct runner, who's going to sit on the shoulders of the centre-backs, so he's going to occupy two lads here and here. Gakpo will still come in field looking for the ball. He's not the type of guy who's going to go around the outside of someone and fire in the left-footed cross. He's the type of guy who's going to come in and look to get involved. Little Dutch connection there, Gravenberch might work quite well. A few little give and goes, a few little bits of interplay. Jota gives you a different dynamic in that Jota wants to get into spaces to score goals. Gakpo does more sacrificial stuff for the team, if that makes sense. So that is very possible that could happen. You might see those two rotate a little bit like we sometimes do. Diaz is now appearing centrally a lot more than he ever did. I think that's a club thing. And go back to the point before, just before I come back to you guys, but having all these lads on the bench watching tomorrow, if they win the game in training, these are all of these guys, particularly your Quansahs, your Simicasses, your Kellers, get a lift from the feedback they get from the senior players. We can clearly see that the club's in a great place in terms of camaraderie and team spirit. They're playing in front of those guys tonight, and they've got to show them that they're worthy of playing in their place.
They've got to ball out. They've got to ball out. And I think people like Elliot, he'll lick his lips at an opportunity like this because, you know, everybody's been waxing lyrical about Szoboszlai, and rightly so in that respect. But I think Elliot has had a low-key, very good start to his own season on a personal level. I think he's had some important cameos off the bench for us. Absolutely. So to get a start like this, I know, you know, he started in Europe the other day, was at Lask, and he probably wasn't his best display, but given all the other displays that he's put together in bit parts and just been asked to be kind of threw on in 10-man situations or see out a game, team's out. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah, I'll get it for you now. 1 second. I'll get it for you.
I'll pause that.
No, go on, I'll crack on.
Okay, no, so yeah, no, I just think today's a big opportunity for him again. Much more opposition that he's more used to knowing as well. He knows the Leicester game a little bit more.
Harvey doesn't want us to get the tag impact player. That's what he's been. He's been coming off the bench and he's looked electric, showing for the ball, bringing it down, playing forward, thinking, playing balls into feet in front of him. Carry on doing that tonight. Difficult for him because he's arguably got the best signing of the summer in Szoboszlai playing in that position. The lad's been electric. But whenever we've needed to turn a game round, half-time substitutions, Harvey's been the man.
He's licking his lips though now. Go on, what are you saying?
Is that Curtis Jones playing right back?
What?
I've got Kelleher. It says Jones, Konate, Quansah, Simicas, Endo, Gravenberch, Elliott, Doak, Jota, Gakpo. Is that Curtis?
Go through that again.
So there's
Kelleher.
Yeah.
Jones.
Yeah.
Konate, Quansah, Simicas.
Yeah.
Endo, Gravenberch, Elliott, Doak, Jota, Gakpo.
Exactly what it is, mate.
Is Curtis doing the inverted thing then? Are you ready for your bench?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. We've got Frank on the case here, right? You're going to have to launch loads of these off. So Adrian is the sub-goalie. You're right there. You've got Van Dijk next. Get him next. Go on, do some swapping around, Steve.
Yeah, go on.
We've got Szoboszlai.
Yeah.
You've got Luis Diaz.
Yeah.
Darwin Nunez.
Yeah.
Alexis McAllister.
Yeah.
Stefan Bajcetic.
Yeah.
Joel Matip.
Yeah.
And Frank is frantically looking for a Luke Chambers card. So you can get Salah off there. He's nowhere near it. Alisson's nowhere near it. Luke Chambers is the final one. Interesting, Steve, as we look for the Luke Chambers, not Callum Chambers. He plays for someone else. Curtis Jones as a right back. What do you think, Steve?
That's so left field, right back field.
Right field.
You just couldn't see it coming, could you? I think if there's an element of Jones's game that he needs to learn and develop on if he's going to feature here in this position, he's still a little bit to learn defensively.
We've got a couple of people here, sorry Steve, can I jump across you? Because there's a lot of people here in the chat saying it must be Endo at right back and not Jones.
Can't
which
be.
I'm going, Tom, can you bring, sorry, when is it up to it? It says Spirits, it must be Jones. Can you just bring my screen back up again, please, Tom? The way Liverpool have announced it on their graphic, look at the graphic, is Curtis there. that makes me think.
That makes you think this from the off.
Yeah. Because I can't.
From the off.
If it was Endo, he would just be. He's the second name on the list. It's got to be Jones.
It's three boxes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Two.
I know
that's what it's going to look like, lads. That's what it's going to look like.
Yeah, that's interesting. Very, very interesting. We were very, very close. But yeah, it's got to be Curtis playing there.
If Curtis is playing there, that's what it looks like.
I mean, fair play. Funny enough, me and Josh done a deep dive on Curtis Jones the other day, and like he's been a very important part of Liverpool's team. Do you reckon they're just trying something out here? A little test?
They are,
Because Bacchetic is on the bench.
Yeah,
he could have used him, unless he just doesn't think he's fit enough or he hasn't got the minutes in him, I don't know. But
who am I to be sceptical? But if I'm being honest, I definitely didn't see it coming.
Sorry, mate, I'm interrupting you again.
Of course.
Not only is he the right back, he's the captain.
Mad. No, that's not too mad, to be fair.
Captain Curtis as well. What an honesty for Curtis Jones. We saw Trent Alexander-Arnold do this a few weeks ago. We've got another young Scouse lad, 20 odd years of age, is about to captain Liverpool at Anfield. That is an amazing honour and achievement.
And you know what? Right, he deserves it. He's in the team on merit at the moment. You know, we talked about last season coming to the end of the campaign where we pushed so hard to try and get European spots. He was pivotal in that. He just keeps the ball and he keeps things ticking over. Lots of likenesses with Wijnaldum's position, and we do something different now. But he is the guy that controls the game and keeps the ball. I'm lost what to say at this moment in time, because we could have sat here till 11 o'clock tonight. No one's getting in right back.
Maybe 10 of them. We were boxed off. We had such a good guess. 10 of them. I don't think I have never been as shocked by a Liverpool team in my life.
It's not even the team.
Not the team. I've just Curtis Jones. I didn't even imagine it. If you'd have said to me, if it's not Gomez and it's not Trent and it's not Bacchetic, I'd be thinking Endo might be able to do a job there. Are they going to could they put Konate out there and play Matip as well? Like Curtis, it's never even occurred to me that he would be able to do that.
Right now, because
he's a left winger by trade. Then he's a midfielder, and now he's a inverted right back.
Into the complete footballer. That's what he's doing, and it starts tonight with a right back slot against Leicester.
Well, I like your faith in it, and
listen, it's
a ballsy move by Klopp because. And do you know what? Maybe this might be the thinking, and let's throw the hypothesis out there. I said before, Elliott was the senior in Doak and Bacchetic.
101 games under his belt, not anymore.
Liverpool's captain.
There we go.
I think I'm right saying he captained Liverpool in the derby once. Remember that time when he scored? He might have been around for a little bit, but yeah,
in my head, that's the only thing that kind of makes sense. It's that like, you will be that voice down that right hand side then, and they will follow your instructions, but you have a very important role which is different than all the other roles. And as the point that you've just mentioned, hopefully it makes you a little bit more complete and understanding where your defensive responsibilities need to kind of knit in, because as you mentioned before, when you do 3-box-3, he's back in that role just on the other side of what typically Klopp's tried to kind of sneak him in there a few times anyway as a bit of a defensive midfielder, so maybe it is a little bit of a transition. And I'm just literally spitballing here off the top of the dome, because I don't think any of us, we've all been caught blindsided by that one. I think it's safe to say. But you know what? As I said before, who am I to doubt Jurgen Klopp?
But in the games when Leicester have caused us trouble, they've caused us trouble through the midfield. Dewsbury Hall in particular. Let's not go there. Let's not go there. When he came through and scored.
Stevie Ray's through here with his chat. He's got Endo and Curtis in that double six role. It feels like that is going to be the case. Sorry, Steve, I'm going to interrupt you very quickly. I'm just going to bring you the Leicester team. We were hypothesising what they're going to do. They have made quite a few changes from their side who played in the Championship the other day. Listen to that goalie's name. Stark. I don't even know how to say his name, sorry, he's the sub-goalie apparently. Ricardo, who did play, but then they've got Suter and Connor Cody and James Justin, so that is a bit of a change. Connor Cody's only just back from injury. And midfield three of Yunus, Chowdhury and Kasedi, I don't know who that is, apologies. Albrighton, McAteer, Iheanacho. So they've gone the opposite. You suggested they might go strong. Bear in mind, their team the other day when they played against Bristol City had none of those, very few of those players in. Vardy started that game. They had Mavididi, who's been their best player probably this season as well up front. They have Fatu. So they've made loads of changes there.
I'm thinking really fast here. Why is that? Well,
he's got a bigger fish to fry.
We know they took a loan out against their Premier League earnings until 2 years from now. So they've got a absolute necessity to get back in the Premier League. So maybe it's a case of, where like you say, where your priorities lie. It would be nice for these lads to have a run. If we've our break class options, some of those lads from there, they're not getting anywhere near it if we have to bring 2 or 3 of them on. So maybe it is go and enjoy the experience. Give some of the players who in their squad that are pushing for places an opportunity with no real expectation. They're not expected to win. They don't win. Nobody says a word. All the pressure's on Liverpool tonight in that regard. But their absolute 100% priority is to get back to Premier League money, because they're in a bit of a difficult situation financially. So maybe we read it wrong, mate. Maybe that's become sort of the forefront of their mind.
Yeah, from early though, they stay in that respect. They set the stall out early, then haven't they really? Because
it's changing. It's
changing. It's literally.
And people going to comment here saying Steve butchering these names. I struggle with them. I did
butchered them.
Mate, I had so much practice on the Leicester team. I had done an interview the other day with a Leicester fan. I was talking about the best players, and he was telling me about Fatawu, and he was telling me about Mavididi and Vardy, Dewsbury Hall. Harry Winks has been down there, hasn't he, and doing good things for them. And Didi, they've had him playing as well. And I've done loads of Leicester research, and then they've just changed literally, I think he's made 10 changes to his team. I can't even say the goalie's name. Stolicic, maybe? I'm struggling for that one, yeah. So all my research on this game's gone out the window. So yeah, I mean, one of us on this duo here is famous for butchering a Leicester City player's name, and it ain't me, but it might become me now.
Well, I'm terrible with all names, but that is a moment, yeah. That did happen.
Good old Gilly Tillemans, we'll never get that one back. But yeah, do you know one there, Steve? Remember the case of Hamza Chowdhury, who's back, he butchered Mo Salah's ankle up once, and he's... I wonder if someone on that pitch, who there can give someone a kick, and we don't see
Endo, innit? It's got to be Endo. He's got to be the enforcer.
It doesn't feel like...
Or Kanate, because Kanate... Remember when he squared up to Fred? Kanate just bounced him.
It doesn't feel like that's a Liverpool team that gives a kicking out. There's a lot of technical players there, but someone needs to give him an absolute booting in the air, because
Jota's got a bit of needle in him, hasn't he?
Yeah, Jota's... Of all those, Jota's the angriest. Yeah, absolutely. Going back to it, Steve, I was going to think, we had a couple of comments before, didn't we, about the setup of the front three, whether it would be Gakpo or Jota, who would be on which side. Now, the Liverpool, the way their graphic is, makes you think it looks like Gakpo. Would you go along with that? Do you think it's going to be Gakpo?
If it's 3-3, I've got Gakpo on the left.
Yeah.
Purely because you've already got these two lads quite close to him. Where does he go? He's not a runner in behind, is he? He's more of a creative influence out there, leaving Jota to go head to head with the centre backs. If it is 3-3, I genuinely think that's what we're going to be doing. Then why would you want your main man occupying spaces that Gravenberch and Elliott will be in? I don't think he hugs the touchline anyway. We've said this. He doesn't go around the outside. He comes inside. Jota probably plays a little bit more off the right centre back. Gakpo takes a slightly more central position. Doak is your man to go around the outside, absolutely. When you've got pace and power like that, why not? So, it'll be really interesting. I might be wrong. I see Gakpo and Jota at the very least being interchangeable. Yeah. I think we start the game with Gakpo through the middle, but very quickly he takes the left side.
What a difference a couple goals and a bit of form makes, though, in the landscape of things when you look at it, because you'd have probably penciled in Darwin Nunez for this game before the Newcastle game. You're probably looking at where he's going to fit and slot in. Gakpo seemed undroppable early doors. I know he was getting used on the left side of the midfield. So at that time, I just felt like Klopp was doing everything he could to get that lad in the team, because that's how important he is. And it's not to say he's dropped down in the pecking order, but it is clear that Darwin has definitely stepped up, which has made it hard to drop Darwin in his current run of form at the minute.
Well, look at the comments Klopp made after the game at the weekend. He says, now we've got a chest we can play the ball up to, and we can play off him. And when he's playing like that, it's essential that Darwin is available. And that statement in itself says that they are now building their front line around him, and they probably should do.
Oh yeah.
We paid all that money for him. He terrorised us when he came to Anfield in the Champions League. We haven't seen that player often enough. Whilst he's very good, that's the player we want to see.
I love the Luke Chambers. Step forward a bit, Steve. Look what we've done. Do the right, go the other way. There you go, look at that. Luke Chambers. Sorry, Luke. We have got a picture of him, so I'm sure we have somewhere, but sorry, Luke. Ian Sykes makes a very good point. There are 1.8k people watching, 160 likes. Yeah, press the like button on the show, guys. Really does help us out. Interesting one. Rob Davies has asked for the Leicester subs bench. I can give you that as well, mate. Don't worry. Faye, remember him? He of 2 goals Anfield fame. He's on the bench. Get him on. Vestergaard, Winks, and Didi, Dewsbury Hall. Is it Fatu, Mavididi and Daka? So they've got a strong bench, so similar to Liverpool really. They haven't really packed a bench full of kids. They have got the youngsters on the bench.
No Jamie Vardy in the squad?
Not at all, no Vardy
I'll
at
take
all.
that.
Hey Rumbu says, does Curtis play against Spurs considering we've benched all the rest of everyone else apart from him and Konate? That is interesting. I suppose I wouldn't be shocked, Errol, if it's 45 minutes of Curtis and 45 minutes of Stefan Bajcetic.
Yeah.
Bajcetic did look knackered after that last game, and maybe they're just thinking, don't want to run him into the ground, we'll look after him a little bit, because you are right. Look, if you're looking what Liverpool's best team might be at Spurs, you'd probably want Konate in it, and you'd probably want Curtis Jones in it. Ideally, you'd get them off the pitch, get this game won and get them off, would be the ideal. Of course, that would mean like having to bring a Matip on, or a Bajcetic on, or a Chambers on, whatever you want to do, but ideally, that's the one thing we can't really do. You know, even if you're 3 or 4 up, even if you bring us, that's ideal dreamland, by the way. Hopefully we can do that. The subs you bring on our lads,
strong
the strong subs. Like, there's no real rotation in terms of kids on that bench, is there? Like, you know,
but again, it'd be nice to see even like a McAllister just being able to play in his actual position. Bring
if
him on.
If we're 2-0 up at half time, lads, and Trent's in the bag for the weekend, don't be surprised to see Joe Gomez come on as well in place of Konate. Because if Trent's playing at the weekend, you don't need Joe Gomez.
You do well, Steve, because he's not on the bench.
I was going to say he's not on the bench.
He won't come on the roof.
I promise you, I will be shocked if Joe Gomez comes on. Luke Chambers, maybe. Yeah. That's funny.
What position does Chambers play?
He's a left back or a centre back. Left back or left side of the centre half. So he's there for you. But yeah, I'd be shocked if he did come on. Yeah, going back to the final one, let's have a look. We've seen Liverpool have got a pretty strong team out. Leicester have made change as well. So it's basically, in a sense, Liverpool's fringe/reserve players with a couple of starters against Leicester's fringe/reserve players with a couple of starters. That makes me a bit more confident, because I think if it was Liverpool's fringe team against the Leicester team that were in good rhythm, their first team had been flying, you might have been a bit trickier. The way I see it now, I feel a bit more comfortable about it. Mm-hmm. Are you in the same boat?
Absolutely. After seeing that, and there's no Jamie Vardy on the team sheet at all, boy, yeah, this is...
Apparently Jamie's not been great for them recently as well. But
I can understand. He probably doesn't want to play championship footy, does he? He's probably saving himself for one more year in the Prem more than anything else. But it is what it is in that sense for them. For us, you know, when they'll see their team, they should all be looking at that thinking there is a path through to the next round for us. We just got to play our game, and we've got to all work hard for each other. If we do that, there shouldn't be a problem. We should be guaranteeing another 90 minutes in the bank for us, and reminding Klopp, it was us lads that got you into the next round. We want to go again.
LFC Spectre said a Bendo hat-trick incoming. Yeah, I'm guessing he goes up against James Justin, who's a good player, Steve. But what have you made of Bendo so far? Because against Lask, my thinking on him before I go to you is that I think he's really good around the opposition box. He's got a lot to learn around the halfway line of what he could, when to the little flicks and the tricks and the spins. And there was a couple of times Liverpool got caught on counter. I don't know if naive is the right word, fearless to a fault almost, but he is a very exciting player still.
Of course he is, and he'll terrorise whoever he plays against because he's ridiculously direct. Sometimes that works really well, sometimes it doesn't. There is a time to hold the ball, there is a time to give it, there is a time to spin into space and try and run around the back of somebody. At the age he is, with the experience he's got, it's kind of like Michael Owen was when he first came on. Pace to bend, but really, really raw, and trying probably to do a little bit too much. Trying too hard to please is probably an easier way to put that. He's got a lot to learn in terms of his first team appearances in the squad. He's settled in now in the first team squad. He trains with them, so he's learning every day. A little bit of control. I think this team set out today to control the match. This is probably the one that's a little bit of a loose cannon in terms of head down, galloping in behind them and trying to cut balls back all the time, and that's fine.
He's the new agent of chaos in this front line, isn't he, really? Because we know what to expect from the other two. He's the unknown quantity.
Yeah, it would be nice to see a slightly more mature performance from him rather than, in under 23s and all of that stuff coming through the squads. He's just been able to ghost past people like they're not there. Well, this is different, and Ricardo's an established international defender, so bit of a battle for him. Good for him to get involved in that, but hopefully the lads on his side in Jones and Elliott will talk him through the game, and look forward to seeing him because he's a really, really exciting prospect.
Yes, absolutely. He definitely is. Knocky Knock says Redmen. He's still in Mauritius now. We're in America.
Texas,
we're in
Texas.
America for this one, yeah. ESPN Plus, Peacock, all those great American broadcasters are showing it here, right here in the heart of Texas, of I've enjoyed being here so far, so that's where we are today. Yeah, a lot of people obviously joining the stream later, and there's still a lot of people on about the Curtis Jones thing, and that saying, is it Endo, is it Jones? To go back to it, we're going off the official Liverpool graphic. Now, if Liverpool are throwing us a dummy, then fair enough, we'll change it. But for now, we're going on the assumption that it's Curtis. I wonder, Errol, do we read into anything that it's not Gomez? Because obviously Trent isn't back. He's only just started training. So my guess is Gomez has played a lot this season because obviously Trent's been out. He played a lot of centre half because of the suspension to Virgil van Dijk, Ibu Konaté's injury, and then he's played at right back because of Alexander-Arnold. It just feels like Gomez might be getting a rest. My initial thought was, if he's not playing here, does that mean Trent might be a doubt? But then the more I think about it, he has played a lot of footy and probably just needs a little bit of a break. Yeah,
and it's fair enough. You've got to, at the end of the day, I think he's shown so far that he's got the confidence back, which is nice to see from him. I think he's kind of trusting his own body again, but now he's in that place. You've got to protect it. You've got to preserve it a little bit more, because we know, like, he doesn't have little niggling injuries. He seems to break down massively, and we don't want to lose a player that's come to play such good form so early in the season and then lose him so early in the season to a daft injury that could have been otherwise avoided. So for me, I'm not concerned. Again, to be able to have the options of, because we're going to their gaff as well, to be able to have the options of either throwing Trent back in straight away or having Gomez to just be like, you know what, I don't get the same level of nervous that I do when he plays out at right back. He's never really dropped a stinker out there for me. So if you do have to have him, and again, even if Trent's not fit enough to play the full 90, who's going to be the first port of call to be his understudy? It's going to be Gomez. So you want him to be as fit as possible and match ready in the chance that he's needed.
You're right. He's played his way back into the reckoning. And the thing with Joe Gomez, and we've all said this, is a psychological thing about getting over the errors and getting the running games, which bring back the confidence.
Probably didn't think he was going to get
so
that.
So tonight, when we threw our fringe team out there and our lads who need a bit of time, we didn't put him in there. That for him.
In times gone by, he'd have been captain in this team.
Could be massive for him, and he's sitting there now at home, even though I thought he was travel, sitting at home going, do you know what, I last season and the year before I'd been banging in the middle of that defence, but things were going well this season, so I get a night off because I'm not on the radar for a lad who hasn't quite fulfilled what we want to do, so I get a night off like Robbo has and Salah has, so good for him psychologically to think I'm no longer sort of fighting with Quansah and fighting with Nat Phillips for game time. I've elevated myself beyond that, and if confidence, if there's a Liverpool player that confidence is everything for, then it's Joe Gomez, because he proved in the title winning season he can be as good as anybody. But we haven't seen that for a while, and this hopefully is a positive thing for him.
We've got a comment here. I'll come to you first and I'll get Steve's opinion. I like Quansah. He's got the makings of being class. Like I say, he impressed against Wolves. He had a really good start. Again, in years gone by, I refer back to 2 years gone, this feels hard and I apologise, but in League Cup games, I've watched
Sepp Vandenberg.
I've watched Sepp Vandenberg, I've watched Billy Cometio, young lads get thrown into games and not look physically ready or mentally ready. Both of those two struggled, and listen, they're both out on loan now, and I'd be shocked if either have. I'll be honest, I'm wrong, they're both brilliant, but it doesn't look like they've got Liverpool careers ahead of him.
Who was the one that we bought and never even got close? Was it Davies?
He was
a hologram, him.
Yeah, it was just a panic where everyone was injured. But go back on the youngsters, Quansah's the first one really, I think, who's
showing potential.
No, well, looks like you could see there's a world where he's a Liverpool future. Listen, he's played one game starting and made a couple of sub appearances. He's got a long road ahead of him. But of all the young centre-halves who've come through, I've been the most impressed by Quansah in recent years. Probably, I can't actually remember the last time a real youngster's come through. I've gone, you know what, he's the man.
I'm going to be honest with you though, that's because the bar's not been set very high.
That's true, yeah.
And that's just the reality of it. But, as I say, that gives him a clean slate. There's nothing, there's no, like, monkey on his back that says, all right, you've got to fill into this person's shoes, because everybody else around him is more senior and levels above where he's at, so he gets to make his own. Do you know what I mean? Where we kind of, when we was reduced to having to play Nat Phillips had already been moulded into the centre half that Nat Phillips is. So Klopp was what he was. So Klopp had to work with what he had, and it was fine. he made the most out of it. And to be fair to Nat Phillips, I think he exceeded everybody's expectations at that particular point in time. Whereas this young lad is of a particular level now where he's cutting his teeth, he's learning his trade. And to be honest with you, the size of him, the physicality, he's got a little bit of recovery pace as well from what I've seen so far. And he seems to be a little bit more, maybe, I don't know, again, is he 19, something like
20,
that?
yeah,
20. He seems to be one of those type of lads that is matured early to understand that he's quite settled in that role. As you said, Pesetic started life off as a centre-back, but then he's moved into something else. I think he knows I'm a centre-half, and if I need to be a Liverpool centre-half, I need to be able to be adaptable to play the high line. I need to be as fit as I possibly can because I need to be very athletic in the way that Canate is athletic, in the way that Virgil van Dijk is. So I think they're the type of players he's probably trying to mould his game from in where he's currently at, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he's been at Liverpool since he was like 7, so it's back in 2008 or so. It's interesting because he's probably the first one who's really come through the youth team. I know Reece Williams is another one who's a bit different in physicality, but like he plays the Klopp way of playing a centre-back, if that makes sense. He's been, because Jürgen, obviously when he arrived back in 2015 now, one of the things he did, obviously he wanted to work close with the academy and stuff like that. Quansah feels like the first centre-half who's come through who looks like a Jürgen Klopp centre-back, is that fair to say?
Yeah, and I noticed in the Wolves game, he's hitting 60-yard diagonals into the right, the right side. So he's learning from the best in Virgil van Dijk. Really interesting points made by both of you. I think he looks calm, he doesn't look flustered, doesn't let the occasions getting to him. I think in a very poor first half against Wolves, he was one of the standouts.
Yeah.
So he's clearly got his own mindset and he doesn't get dragged into things other players are doing. So he knows his job, he knows what's expected of him. He's a big lad, he's like Virgil to look at in many respects. He'll fill out even more because he's still only 20.
He doesn't want to be anything else though, does he? He seems happy being that guy, do you know what I mean?
But we'll always have 4 or 5 centre-halves. If your football career is around the Liverpool side like this, that's going like this and has got a manager like Jürgen Klopp, and you're offered the opportunity to be 4th choice centre-back at the age of 20, you're not going to say no, are you?
No.
He's developing really, really well. I'm glad he didn't go out on loan because I think he would learn more being in around the likes of Verge, the likes of Matip, the likes of Canate, and even Joe Gomez, being around all of those guys. That they're all levels above where he is right now. But he's like Steve said, he's got a long road ahead of him. But the early signs are that he's not flustered, he reads the game well, he's got a bit of recovery pace, as you quite rightly said. And he's a footballer, he's hitting 60-yard balls to Salah.
That's it.
Ben Doak will probably benefit from a little bit of that tonight. But it's good to see, and he might save us 30-40 million quid somewhere down the line, boys.
Do you know what's funny as well? You mentioned it there about obviously what Klopp's whole project was with the club and obviously the youth team and the youth setup. The only other one that we can, and he's on the pitch tonight, that has really ever looked like a Klopp player because he's been through that process is Kelleher. Because Kelleher was the one that he said, right, that's Alisson. We've got our guy. This is what I want all my keepers to be playing like right across the board. And we've seen the fruits of that labour in Kelleher's performances in the way that he stepped up. So maybe not necessarily the question, but the observation is, are we now over the next season or 2 seasons, maybe even 3 seasons, going to start to reap the rewards of the benefits of what Klopp has implemented from that youth system and players like Quansah, Kelleher, the Doaks of this world? Because I think by the time Trent was already established, so he's moulded Trent into the first team as opposed to the youth setup. Same sort of thing with Jones, but it'd be interesting how these players develop over the next 12 to 18 months.
Absolutely, absolutely. We've got a comment here from Ian, a super chat. Thanks very much. He says the next round draw after these games, the draw is tonight. So if Liverpool get through during the post-game show, I'm sure we'll be live for that draw. Let's have a little look. Skip to Milu as a member. Thanks very much. Says nothing better than some midweek footy with the lads, Errol and the Stees. Up the effing red, yeah. Oh, indeed, up those reds. So yeah, we're going to start wrapping up in a second. Let me know, guys, in the live chat or in the Discord if you're one of our legends. Score predictions now. You've seen our team and you've seen the Leicester City team. Give us a little score prediction. While you guys read some of yours out, I will ask our esteemed studio panel. Steve, I'll come over to you first. A little prediction for Liverpool-Leicester.
I think, given the lack of familiarity, it'll take us 20 minutes to settle into the game. It might be a bit basketball to start with. I can see us winning 2-0.
Okay.
Damn, you took the words out of your mouth there. I originally was going to go for the factory setting 3-1 at the minute because that's just what it's been lately. But I know it sounds mad. I think there's a clean sheet on us tonight.
Okay.
So I'm going to push the boat out one more than stay and say it's a 3-0.
3-1. I mean, why wouldn't you at this point?
Yeah.
It just seems to be the thing. History
Odds on favourites,
if there was one, yeah. A couple of very, very quick ones before we shoot off then. Anthony in the chat went for 4-1. Freedom went for 3-0. Ian went for a 4-0. We also got Ben's gone for 4-1. We reckon Gavin Birch going to get a goal. So yeah, plenty there for you. Just let you know, guys, we will be live with a watch-along very, very shortly. So give us about 15-20 minutes. We'll be back with the watch-along of Liverpool versus Leicester very, very, very shortly. Come and join us for that one. Thanks to Errol. Thanks, Steve. See you in a little bit.
Thank you so very, very much for checking out the video. If you enjoyed it, drop a like. The season is now well underway. If you need extra Redmen content, be it podcast, videos, documentaries, interviews, and general shows, fill your boots on redmenplus.com today.